Welcome to the Revolutionary CEO podcast, where adaptable marketing meets real-life business strategies. I'm your host, Letitia Lynch, adaptable marketing strategist, boy mom, and CEO who believes in making marketing work for you. In this podcast, we're unlocking the gate-kept marketing strategies and advice that's usually hidden behind paywalls that solo service providers, coaches, and boutique firm owners need to market, launch, and sell their services their way. Join me every Wednesday as we explore strategies tailored to your capacity, personality, and business season. I'll also share my business shifts and bonus episodes with real questions and custom strategies from Revolutionary Society. Let's get into it. In today's episode, I'm going to share the exact reasons why it's hard for you to hit your monthly sales goals without launching, and why you're going to keep feeling that pressure to do them if you don't fix this issue. I'll share the top reason why you're currently launch dependent to get enough leads to hit or even get close to your sales goal, and then 3 ways a launch optional lead generation process can increase your leads and speed up your sales, making launching an option but not a requirement. By the way, this is the primary focus of the upcoming Lead Overflow Challenge. It's to help you take the first step to launch optional leads and sales by helping you to create your everyday marketing schedule and process that works at your typical energy and capacity. The process helps you to create a marketing mix that will send an overflow of leads to your inbox, website, and DMs on a regular basis without you posting content every single day in the content formats that you actually prefer and enjoy on the platforms that you'll stick with, even when you're not launching. By the way, the details for the challenge will be in the show notes. Now, let me paint a picture for you real quick. It's a new quarter coming up, right? And you have a group program or a VIP day service that you want to book out. What are you going to do? You're going to plan a launch, right? And you're going to go all out to your posting social media posts every day. You're sending the daily sales and marketing emails. You're hosting your workshop, masterclass, challenge. You're posting on stories every single day for weeks to make the launch a success. And after the launch, you're exhausted, so you go social media, except for, the occasional story or thread. And of course, it doesn't matter because, baby, you booked out, right? Or you booked something, so you got money coming in, right? You survived just fine off of the people who did pay in full. You got the cash injection. And then, of course, you have payment plans for at least the next 2 to 3 months. But then the next quarter rolls around and you realize you're one step away from being broke again. So you start the process over again. But guess what? You ghosted, which is typical because you're tired from the long launch and working with all the new clients. So you lost all that sexy marketing momentum that you built up the last time you bombarded social platforms and people's inboxes with your content. So it always feels like you're starting from scratch with these launches. I know this sounds familiar because this is the typical process. And this is also called feast-or-famine mode. And it makes you in reality, launch dependent. Why? Because you look at the idea of launching as your process for lead generation and sales. Like when I think most of you hear launching, you're like, yeah, I need sales and I need leads for my lead magnet, so I'm going to launch. Like if this combination doesn't happen, like this is the only time that I can do that. Like I have to do those things together. But the problem is, this is where so much of the pressure on the launch comes from. So if anything comes up, like you or your kid gets sick, you get your period and you're exhausted or don't feel well, your kid's school is on another break that we did not ask for, you get in a car accident, this launch happens in the middle of a planned vacation, your depression kicks in, your main client has an all hands on deck emergency that takes all your time and brain power. If any of those things come up, then that launch is disrupted, right? And you're stressed the F out because all your sales are relying on that one moment in time, that launch, right? You shouldn't depend on one marketing activity to bring in all of your leads or to help you line up all of your sales. If you want to be able to hit your sales goals every month and every quarter without feeling like you're on the constant roller coaster of mindset struggles, imposter syndrome, and setbacks, then you're going to have to make lead generation a part of your everyday marketing process. We're going to talk about that. I need lead generation to be a part of your everyday marketing process. So let me talk about what I mean. I'm going to give you the 3 ways that having a launch optional lead generation process can increase your leads and speed up the sales, making launching an option and not this requirement. So the first thing is, when you make lead generation a standard part of everyday marketing, and when I say everyday marketing, don't think that I mean you're marketing every single day. I just mean typically whenever you have scheduled for marketing to happen, that the goal is lead generation. It should not, and it's not just an event that requires something like a launch or a lead magnet attached to it. When it's a part of just everyday, regular marketing, you'll get creative about ways to get people that you want to work with interested in hearing more of what you have to say in the formats where you can give more depth and substance, therefore speeding up the impact of the message on their decision-making process, which is what we ultimately want. So for example, if you have a podcast, right? What happens is if your content, your regular content was little pieces of the podcast, and then it actually encouraged people to go listen to the full episode or made them want to go listen to the episode. Episodes are what, 20, 30 minutes long? So the person is going to spend 20, 30 minutes at least with you in their ear, talking about something really important. I mean, exercising your expertise, giving them impact, giving them like a little transformation in their car on the way to work, when they're on their walk that they go on every single day. You're going to become a part of their routine. And typically when they get access to one of your longer formats of content, your blog, your podcast, your YouTube video, they binge. They'll go to the next one and the next one because they start to get a little bit curious about you and what you're talking about. And then they go to the links that you put in the show notes, in your description of your YouTube or, video, or in the blog where you have the hyperlinks to different things. They're going to go to that next thing, right? So now they are hearing about your lead magnet or your offer in that blog post, in that YouTube video, in that podcast episode. Then they're going to go to some other part of your website. They're going to go to your sales page or whatever you sent them to in that episode or the blog. And then they're going to look at the case studies because now they're on your sales page. Now they're getting sucked into the transformation of your offer. And they're going to read that whole sales page. And that's when they're able to book. They didn't need to watch 72 reels for 8 weeks long to make a decision because they spent the quality time that they needed and had such impact from the content that you did that they converted right away. Because that would happen anyway. That's what you're doing during a launch when they're watching all your little pieces of content. When you're trying to get them to that lead magnet, to spend time with you to get impact. You can just do that through your regular content. So that's the first way. The second thing is when you generate leads every day versus only when you launch, you'll always have a pool of people who are ready and considering working with you versus making people wait to hear from you when you're launching. That means it's going to keep a constant flow of leads and a constant flow of conversions happening all month long. So you're more likely to hit your goal even without needing a launch. So for example, during a launch, you're scheduling when leads and sales will come, and it has a start and a stop date, right? Which also starts and stops your leads and income. But if you had a regular marketing process that brought in leads and sales throughout the week all the time, you would have leads and sales happening throughout the week all the time. And if you needed to launch, the launch would be able to be shorter and you would have less pressure around that launch because you'd already have a pool of people who were already warmed up and ready to buy because you had been talking to them on a more regular basis and they probably had been engaging with more longer format content all that time. So they're ready to buy. And you'd also need less people to fill your program or book out your retainers because again, you would have been getting some more regular sales. Sounded good, isn't it? And then the last thing is when you market in different formats of content on different platforms, not just one where you're spending all your time, you actually give people multiple ways to find you and interact with you with varying levels of your time and active involvement. So this means even if you're busy, tired, or being more present in living your life, well, as you should, you will start to have content attracting leads, nurturing the relationship with them, and selling for you, avoiding those big feast and famine cycles that typically happen when you stop being active for whatever reason. So for example, basically, if we were doing this process where you were generating leads every single month, every single day, every single month, instead of all of them having to follow the same exact journey, which typically happens when you're doing launch content, which makes that sales cycle really long because however long your launch is, you're stretching out them slowly making their way through all together. In this case, though, if you were getting the leads on a regular basis with your typical process being focused and geared toward lead generation, what would happen is some of them would find you from a Google search, and that person's going to be like a cold lead, meaning they don't know who you are, they've never heard of you, they don't know you, but that person would come to your site for maybe your blog or your podcast. That cold lead typically would have taken a lot longer to convert into a paying client, especially for high ticket offers, because first of all, they need to trust you to spend thousands of dollars with you. This makes sense. However, as I said with the first example, because the longer content builds trust faster, when it's done well, of course, they get to binge it and it takes them longer to consume it anyway, which gives them the illusion that they actually spent time with you, even if it's pre-recorded or in written format. And the good thing is with that, each day there would simultaneously be leads coming in from re-engaging with things like your email, because you should also have that going. You would also, and they would be getting nurtured through your email sequences, which can be pre-planned or automated. So there goes time that you don't necessarily have to be involved, or from social media, which does require your involvement. However, they also get direct access to engage with you. So now you can get DMs and quicker sales because now you can sell through the DMs. All of these ways to generate leads is a good thing with all varying levels of time involvement, which means you will still have leads coming in and sales converting throughout the month, even if you can't be as active on one of those platforms. This is actually why in the lead overflow challenge, day one is literally just for you to determine what typically helps you, first of all, bring in leads and sales, and then what you're willing to do on a more regular basis, not on a launch basis, but on a regular basis, when you're at your most average energy and capacity in order to pull off what we now know is needed to get those leads and sales to happen. And then we get you to commit to a schedule to do that thing, only what's necessary every single week. Taking that first step is just really the start of you having the launch optional lead generation process, which will reduce that pressure that you've been feeling for making sales and your dependency on a launch to make it happen. And then the thing is, after that, so in Revolutionary Society, the Lead Overflow Challenge kicks off a 30-day period of consistently following that launch optional process to track like the results and to get like a private one-on-one marketing strategy session with me, because that's allowing us to improve and scale the results so that you can get that stuff long term. And it's because while yes, consistency does matter, a lot of you are already consistent, but you need to be consistently doing what's actually proven to work. And we need data for that. We need to be doing consistently what's proven to work for your specific business, not working for the algorithms or from someone else's capacity, budget, business model, or their personality. We need to make sure it's working for you. So to recap, if you create a launch optional lead generation process to reduce the sales pressure in your service business, it'll increase your leads and speed up your sales, making launching truly an option, but definitely not a requirement. And it's only happening when you make lead generation a standard part of everyday marketing, when you generate leads every day versus only when you launch, and when you market in different formats of content on different platforms. You give people multiple ways to find you and interact with you with varying levels of your time and active involvement. When I say for this season, we are not playing games about adaptable marketing, I mean it. These episodes are going to be not always this quick, but they're going to be very specifically focused on getting you to be able to have more flexibility with how you approach marketing, but without it compromising the results that you get from the marketing that you're doing. You will not be spending hours every single day on social media hoping and praying to be seen. You are not going to be launching into the abyss, and you're not going to be stressed about making ends meet. And if lead generation isn't already a part of your everyday marketing process, or if you're currently marketing consistently without seeing consistent leads coming in or sales as a result of all your hard work, register for the Lead Overflow Challenge and take the first step. The challenge is coming up shortly, so register today by visiting leadoverflowchallenge.com or the link in the show notes. And again, welcome back to season 3. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe to the Revolutionary CEO podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform and leave a review to let me know the moments you enjoyed most. Spotify users and YouTubers, leave me a comment with your biggest takeaway or questions from the episode. And be sure to connect with me on Instagram, YouTube, or Threads. I'm always at Her Marketing Coach. Talk to you next week.